Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Storytellers series here at New Mexico Women in Film. I am your host, once again, Carrie Rose O'Connell, and today I have two of our members joining me that I'm very excited to talk to, Aeryn and Gentry Lee, and we're going to be talking to them about a recent short film project they started working on through their production company, 701 Productions, called Permafrost. Did I get that all right, you guys?
You did.
All sounds
Yes.
good.
Thank you. And thanks so much for being here. It's so great to have you with me. Just to give our audience a little bit of idea of who you guys are, can you tell me a little bit about yourselves, your background in film, and your time in New Mexico as filmmakers before we talk more about your project?
Absolutely. We both are originally from North Dakota, and we both moved to New Mexico about 4 years ago to pursue work in film. We both have an acting background and are still actors, but we felt like it was just time to start telling our own stories. And we had some ideas rolling around for quite a while and finally decided it was time to do it. So that's me anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you nailed it pretty on the nose there. And since we've gotten together in New Mexico, as far as our filmmaking has been going, we've worked really well bouncing the scripts off of each other. I like to come up with kind of an outline, and I don't like writing the dialogue as much. And Aeryn is very, very solid on not just the dialogue, but also the formatting, which is just, it's a lot for me. And
I mean, I used to work in administration, so I'm good at the nitpicky things, I guess, is what Gentry is trying to say.
and yeah, it just works really well to just write stuff together.
Nice. So what was it about New Mexico that, like, why did you pick New Mexico as filmmakers instead of like the larger markets? You know, a lot of people talk about that story where they decide to move to Hollywood or move to New York. For you guys, what was it about New Mexico that made you want to try it here?
Well, personally, I'm not going to lie. I just don't have the desire to go to LA. I just don't. I don't know. And I feel like New Mexico is such a right place for new voices. And that's very appealing.
Yeah.
And I mean, the landscape, it's so beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can literally film so much here, from urbanscapes to natural scapes. And then I'll just say a little plug for New Mexico. The cost of living here is great. So when you're trying to hustle,
that is also
artists,
a big thing. Yeah.
A lot easier to make it here on rent than it is in LA. Yeah, so that's fantastic. So is Permafrost then a project that you guys have had in the works for a while, or was this something that came about more as climate change and the issues around that started escalating? We'll talk a little bit in detail about it.
Yeah, permafrost certainly has been bouncing around in our brains for probably about 3 years now.
It was pre-production for almost 2 years.
Yeah. It's gone through different iterations, and where it is now, I'm very happy with where we've arrived. But it's sort of a twofold inspiration, I think. It's a combination of the two of us growing up in a very wintry, often scary wintry climate. So we've been exposed to that kind of stuff. And also the idea that climate change is becoming almost inevitable. And every year that is magnified, and it seems to, people talk about it, but that's all it is. And we felt like we wanted to use our small corner of the film world to try to draw a little bit more attention to that. Hopefully in a compelling, exciting sci-fi kind of way.
So yeah, I was going to ask you your genre. There's a sci-fi element to the story, yes? And
Absolutely.
is that a genre you guys like to work in?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
1,000%.
Gives a lot of freedom to work in a lot of different things.
I have a question for you because I like sci-fi, and I often like more independent sci-fi films than I like sci-fi that ends up getting picked up and produced for larger theater distribution because, and I don't, maybe the world will judge me here for this, but that's okay. I find, and I'm curious as two filmmakers that work in this genre a lot what your thoughts are, but I find a lot of times when sci-fi stories get pulled into the big theatrical releases, there's an overlay of the Hollywood formula that gets forced into the story, and so you can almost feel where they told them like add a love scene, because it's like completely disconnected from the whole element of the experience. And as a sci-fi fan, I like the genre because when it's done right, there is no formula, right? It's about exploring outside the box of what we know, our normalized human experiences. And so I'm wondering, as two filmmakers that work in that genre a lot, is part of the reason why you created 701 Productions and you're trying to do a lot of your stories on your own to maintain the integrity of how that comes across, or do you even challenge my thought that that's an issue with kind of the bigger sci-fi films?
I very much agree. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, all the time I complain about that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good, a sex scene.
Yeah.
In this part, it's not driving the story at all.
Yeah.
Like, great, I'll wait through it and get back to the movie after this.
Yeah. And even when we were, working through the different drafts of the script, there was an occasional like wanting to pull into some of those tropes, and we had to be like, no, it's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's so easy, to get kind of doing the same thing over and so we definitely wanted to keep ourselves on track and focused on the science of the science fiction quite a bit. And we I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh no, that's very interesting. I like that you're using the real science of life and the environment in your story. Yes,
as best we can as lay people. I mean, I'm sure Bill Nye could correct some things, but
and I'm sure if we'd have had a little bit more of a budget than the shoestring we put together, we probably could have put a little bit more into it, but we
tried our best.
We did what we could with what we had, and I'm really happy with what we have as well.
Yeah, and I mean, and you still have to have the fantasy element, of it, right? Part of it is still a fictional story, and so you're allowed some artistic, creative space there. That's fantastic. So, tell me a little bit about 701 Productions. We're going to watch a trailer of Permafrost, and remind me, did I read the Permafrost description already to everybody? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
I don't think I did.
I can't remember either.
Yeah, let me. That's okay. Let me read this description to everybody because to me it's a great description of the project. And we'll watch a trailer in just a moment. But before we get into it, I also want to ask you a little bit more about 701 Productions. But what we'll be talking about and watching in a trailer is going to be Permafrost, which takes place in a world devastated by climate change and follows a small crew on an impossible mission to recover an artifact from before the frost. So you can already see and hear that sci-fi element and that creative level of storytelling that's going to be in play. So before we watch the trailer and get a bit more into the storyline and the production elements that you went through for this, tell me about 701 Productions. Where did it come from? What really propelled you to say, okay, let's actually formalize this stuff into the production company now? A lot of times people, that's a big step and they linger on the edge for a long time. So what was it for you guys that got you ready to package everything under your own name and brand like that?
I know where the name came from. We still have our North Dakota numbers with the area code 701.
Oh, great.
And so if you're going to get a call in film from anyone in New Mexico, it's it's probably 701 Productions. And,
we're the only 701 people that will ever show up on your caller ID. Yeah. So yeah, that was where our name came from.
That's so great. I love it. And so was it really like for Permafrost and what you've put together, was it having this project that said, okay, let's start putting this under our own production company name, or did you have the production company and then say, let's start our projects now?
It was definitely, we wanted to make the project, and we wanted to have all of the proper paperwork in place. Again, I used to be a legal assistant, so these things are important to me.
Do everything like by the book. And
but yeah, we wanted to make sure everything was as it should be.
So do me a favor, Aeryn, and just to take some fear out of people's, because I believe personally that's a very good step to take. And it's, although it seems overwhelming, it isn't that hard to get yourself set up. So maybe just give some encouraging words to our viewers about the process of really getting your production company set up initially, so that they can have maybe a little bit more courage to do it themselves.
Of course. Honestly, Google is your best friend. I did my little bit of internet research on how to set up an LLC, and I found, I'm going to blank on the name of the website now. Not a sponsor anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
But there is, I can email it to you, Carrie. There is a website that you can go to, and you can look up your state, and they show you all of the forms that you need and will help you fill it out if you need. And it's really very affordable. Again, we don't have a huge budget, and we were able to do it without any problem. And within the next, I think, 48 hours, we were in LLC once we filed everything online, and it was done.
Perfect. Yeah. See, so do the work, my friends. It's worth it. And then you can officially start really housing your creations and your IP under your own brand. So you have full ownership. It's easier to copyright. It's just so much easier if you start doing that type of setup. So thank you. I just wanted to do a side note and cover that, because one of the other things I hope that people can get out of these great series episodes is some encouragement about what it is to really go for making your own project, whether it's a short film or feature film or what have you, whatever it might be. There might be a lot of tasks, but if you take them one at a time and you just really go for it, you can achieve it, and you're so much better off when you need to really move forward with your project. So thank you guys so much for that public service announcement. And so let's talk a little bit about Permafrost before we watch the trailer. Lovely description, sci-fi, as we've already talked about. Tell us a little bit. I understand where the environmental aspect of it came from, but there's obviously some creative storytelling in there. So just tell us a little bit more about Permafrost and aspiring, or what inspired you to put it together in this particular story format, the effort of climate change.
Honestly, a lot of it was driving in the North Dakota winter. We go up there every year for the holidays, and my family is a little bit overly large and spread out throughout the state, and so we're bouncing all over to the different corners of the state. And driving through it is a great time to just kind of bounce ideas off each other, and also think about, man, how terrifying would it have been to just be someone exploring this area back before modern everything. Like this is just a terrifying place to be, and that kind of worked its way into the script of, it's a survival thing, and it's got a little bit of a horror element, not slasher or anything, but very much the suspense of the weather can kill you there, and that's a thing that actually happens. There are service announcements up there saying do not go outside without a lot of insulation. You can die in under 20 minutes. Kind of thing, and lots of stories every year of someone freezing to death in their car or losing a limb. So it's a brutal place, and we wanted to bring that out in the film.
And we were so inspired by our surroundings
Yeah.
and all of that. And
Sure.
we should also clarify that the world of permafrost is Texas,
Yes.
far in the future.
Interesting.
And so
North Dakota plays a really good Texas.
yeah, North Dakota played our Texas last December, and it did a great job. It hardly needed any direction.
Yeah.
So.
When you guys, so living in North Dakota, was climate change something that you really saw happening? Were you seeing things like winters and things like that change as you spent time living and growing up in that area?
Definitely.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that when it was called global warming, it was this winter's colder than I've ever seen, but it's the science of hotter hots and colder colds, and North Dakota can't get much colder than it currently is before people can't live there anymore.
Yeah, and honestly, what I noticed, I lived in Bismarck, which is right off of a large river, and I noticed increasing flooding that hadn't been happening when I was younger,
Fargo floods that made national news for a little bit. We were getting out of school as sandbag from the flooding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Happens every year now.
Now it's just typical. It's so scary when you watch some of those predictive maps where they show you like what could actually be like underwater in the next few decades, even if we don't drastically change the way we're handling our impacts to the climate now. It's tremendous what we're in for if we don't start doing something immediately. And I think that it's interesting how many scientists that are climate scientists that you talk to, they kind of, when you ask like, well, what can we do? They kind of look at you like, it's too late, should have started a decade ago, guys.
Unsettling to say the least.
Yeah.
It's the one good thing from the COVID is it showed what the world can do in just a short amount of time of everyone stopping using all the
locks it
can't
down.
deny it anymore.
All fossil fuels for just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, there's that interesting conversation that I know I've had with other people and is kind of bounced around. But in some ways, at the beginning of this pandemic, when we saw that environmental impact from the whole world kind of going on the quarantines, it kind of felt like in a way that we were the pandemic, and that was like the earth, the planet's way of putting it on lockdown. Like, okay, you guys are a virus and you need to shut it down. Like, I was almost like the earth's immune system finally sent something out that was able to put us away for a while. It was very interesting, the impacts that we saw. And I don't know, maybe we'll learn our lessons. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime,
after our COVID timeout.
Yeah, right. Maybe we might have to have a few more timeouts, possibly. But in the meantime, let's look at how it has inspired you all and take a look. I'm going to share my screen here.
Any idea where I'm heading next?
Well, with where you've got us, we could go north. That'd be a lot faster, but we'd have to ration some food off. We go east, which will be longer, but with the storms coming, it'd probably be our best bet.
Much worse ways to die than freezing. Found some peace in that.
Survival shelters now!
We all do our part.
Honestly, I love that trailer. The quality of it is really well done. I mean, it's just the video quality, I loved the music. I loved the pieces of the film that you selected to be in the trailer. It was all placed in a way that made me want to watch the whole thing. So you guys did a really great job. Exciting. Yeah, and so I'm curious, when you guys filmed, you filmed in North Dakota in the winter, is that correct? And obviously we saw it complied very well with your
It did. It did a good job, yeah.
and so what exactly did you film? Did you film just your trailer? Did you film a whole, tell me kind of what product did you come up with in the end out there?
Yeah, we filmed a whole short film.
Nice.
So yeah, and I want to take this moment to give credit to our amazing director of photography, because we could not have made this film without him. His name is Brandon Bean, and he is so talented, and he's so young, and I can't wait to see where he goes with his career.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the music too, that's Cody Reed, and he is also amazing. He's also doing all the music for the whole film and all of our Foley and everything as well. So he's a busy guy.
Great. Yeah. It was really good. It was that, it was very American. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, where I just was like, yeah, this is going to be an American disaster.
That is perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. I really thought the music just nailed the feel perfectly. So you filmed the whole short film. And where are you at in that process? Where is the short film at in the progress?
We have picture lock. We are currently, Cody is doing his thing with all of the sound, and Brandon and our editor, Andrew Klein, are working on color correction and a little bit of CGI fun as well. So,
oh, nice.
We're hoping to have a finished product maybe end of September-ish.
Oh, very good. And how long will it be?
I think it's right around 14, 15 minutes.
Perfect. And what are you guys hoping when you release the short film? Is there a bigger goal for Permafrost, or is it going to be you just want to get it out in this format?
The overall goal, and Gentry might want to speak to this, we have many other storylines within this same world, and we think it would make an awesome series. But we definitely don't have the budget to do something like that. So yeah,
we went way over budget on the short alone.
I mean, not really. We did pretty good.
Counting travel.
Counting travel.
Yeah.
And then did you use local actors in North Dakota?
We did. Gentry is our only New Mexico actor.
Right on, Gentry, represent.
Yeah.
And we were really impressed with North Dakota talent as well.
Yeah.
We auditioned up there, and our cast, I couldn't be happier with. Everyone is amazing, and everyone really brought themselves to their roles, which is exactly what I wanted from them. I can't say enough. North Dakota actors are amazing.
Yeah,
to clarify, we did get a lot of New Mexico people auditioning.
We did, but we couldn't afford to pay their travel.
Yeah.
And we even had a couple of people offer to pay for their own trip, but we really wanted to stick to everything.
We didn't feel okay about it.
We wanted to pay everyone. We couldn't pay them what they're worth, but we wanted to work with, we worked with the SAG contracts with all the actors, myself included. Mm-hmm. And so we stuck to all those guidelines, and it was a really good learning experience, but also
it was trial by fire, man, in North Dakota in the winter, trying to make those days.
I can imagine. I was gonna say, what you guys put together in your trailer alone looks so great. That must have been a tremendous experience producing that in that climate and having to kind of put it all together the way that you did. How did it go for you in production? Did you have any great stories to tell, hard setbacks, lessons learned, anything that would be helpful for our viewers?
Besides Brandon's tires?
Oh, first, make sure you don't have bald tires when you're driving around North Dakota in the winter.
Our beloved DP, he drove over 200 miles, I think, in a day, or no, 400 counting to the.
That cool drone shot with the pyramid building is way up by the Canadian border. So we had a big travel day.
And so from Bismarck, middle of the state, over into Jamestown, which is directly east of there, and then all the way up to the Canadian border. It was a long day, and he did it all on completely bald tires, which we did not discover until the next day when he got stuck in about an inch of snow, which is not something that you should get stuck in. And so, yeah, that was...
The mom in me may have yelled at him a little bit, but...
Yeah.
You have to, yeah. So for the filming process, I mean, your show is about like this hyperized winter that people are going through, right? So I'm assuming issues with effects as far as snow or moisture, things like that, weren't that big of a deal as far as production shots. Might just been more of equipment protection, yeah.
And director of photography protection. He had to hand off his camera because the frostbite got so bad on his fingerless gloves that we were just trusting him was okay.
Oh yeah, the cold was an issue for cast, crew, and equipment. As far as the wintry effects and stuff, we should give credit to Jonah Esslinger, he made masks. He was our prop master.
And he was also the runaround
about that.
Yeah, he's also just the most amazing person and a sci-fi nerd like the rest of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was responsible for doing the at the points where you saw snow on actors' faces and on their bodies and stuff. We didn't want to use real snow, you know? So we used prop snow, but Jonah did a great job of making that look hyper realistic, and it could have gone differently. Yeah.
And then are you guys doing a lot of the editing yourselves, or how are you doing post-production?
We have our second AD on the production is actually our editor.
Okay.
So we're doing everything remotely, which is weird with COVID and everything, but it's working out. I think we're doing very well given the circumstances.
What was the experience of putting the trailer like together for you guys? Was it hard? What was your input on what got put into that as far as elements of the film?
It was a lot of just bouncing back and forth between us and Andrew. So we would give him an idea, he would put something together, we would give him little tweaks, and Cody's music just gives it exactly the mood that it needed. Good. So it's very collaborative. We couldn't have made this film without our amazing crew. So.
Yeah, props to them. I mean, they did a really outstanding job. Like I said, just the quality of the trailer alone is fantastic, and I can't wait to see the full short. And you never know, web series, Netflix, knock knock, we're right here in New Mexico.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we can create some pretty severe winters in New Mexico, possibly. So let me ask, kind of where you guys would like to go. Obviously, you're in post, you're going to be releasing the short film. But you have some concept ideas and some other projects, I'm sure, under your hats. What kind of support are you looking for the next steps of both Permafrost and 701 Productions? What would be those most critical elements you really need to connect with and to help move your work to the next level?
I think the best connections we can make are with people in New Mexico film who just want to make cool stuff. Yeah. I mean, I'm not about busting ass and then having something that isn't exactly what we all wanted to make it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're all about collaboration, and we are all about working hard, but making films, for filmmakers, I guess. I mean, of course I want everyone to like our films, but just like we were talking about with the sci-fi tropes and you don't need that kissing scene. And, I think sort of bare bonesing some storylines is exciting for me anyway, as a director. What do you think?
And I think that and treating our actors and crew as more than just, oh, you'll do it for the publicity, or oh yeah, you'll do it for the credit. And we both did that for so long, and it was really nice to be able to. It's not a lot, but it's something. Paying your actors, paying your crew, and if we got if we won a festival or something and got that money, we would put it right back into the next film or into expanding Permafrost, and that's just what we're in it to do. We want to put that money back into New Mexico film.
And so really just valuing people.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, that's so important, right? Because I always tell people, you know, a creative collaborative process requires people to feel joyful, I think, to have really good outcomes. So the better you treat everybody on your set, right, the better the outcome of that creative project is going to be. Because when people are, you know, provided for and honored and respected for their value and what they're contributing and their voices, they always go to the next level for you, you know, just they do it no matter, even if they're thinking about it, you know. And then you end up with material that even on small kind of guerrilla budgets is just way outstanding and above the bar, you know. So I think that's great that you guys are working it with a community perspective. I think that'll make you very successful filmmakers going forward. I think the one thing that we can all admit for sure is COVID-19, this pandemic, it has literally changed the way filmmaking is going to continue forward. It's just changing the modeling of everything. Even big, you know, market studios are having to really look at their model that has been generations deep, and they have to say, like, maybe that's not going to work anymore, because we just don't know when we're all going to be clustering into theaters and stuff like that again, right? And so what it does is in the difficulties that this has hit the film industry and a lot of our jobs, you know, production shutting down and that freeze, the pain of that, there is a silver lining, in the sense that it allows this huge open space for independent filmmakers to start coming in and filling content that's void of what the traditional studios are able to kind of shift and pivot to. So I think this is also a really great opportunity for independent filmmakers like yourself to, you know, take advantage of the shifting culture of how film is even put out to the world. I know a lot of some of our past interviewees, you know, have talked about maybe we should figure out like how do filmmakers use YouTube and things like that to get our work out there, you know, in some ways. So it's just really interesting, and I think that you guys have positioned yourselves very well. Do you have any other kind of interesting projects on the forefront that you'd like to share a little bit about, or tease any information about that we can look forward to?
Dispatch and the Deer?
Yeah. I think we have two that we are able to make once it's safe to do so. Which, I mean, I'm high risk. I'm not going to be gathering with people until it is 100% safe to do so. But yeah, we have an idea for sort of a legal domestic violence, unusual story.
Yeah.
I don't know how much to say without telling you the twist.
Yeah.
We'll have a private conversation.
Yeah, don't do any spoilers. Yeah.
Right.
But it is through the eyes of the dispatch person hearing the call.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Rather than showing every bit right as it's happening, you're hearing it happen first.
Yeah.
And then seeing the aftermath.
Very cool. So that could be something in the works soon.
Yes. And then we also have an idea for a short film that we could easily make if it was safe to gather, because it's a house party.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, Gentry, do you want to say a little bit about that one?
Yeah, that one is loosely based on some experiences I've had with some friends of the awkwardness of just getting out of a really long relationship and not really knowing how to jump back into dating because you've developed all your weird quirks that worked in that relationship or maybe didn't work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's really ultra weird now, and so that's it's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
Yeah.
It's a silly, fun house party.
Yeah.
Teen.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, so hopefully when you have the short film for Permafrost ready, we can maybe connect again and
That'd be so fun. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and make sure that everyone knows how they can check it out. And then in case you didn't know, next year we're going to be having our New Mexico Women in Film Festival for short films.
We are very excited.
Yeah.
My ears perked up hard on that, that Zoom call.
Yeah, very low entry fee, but some actual cash prizes to be our first one. But one of the things our members really asked for is the opportunity to screen their projects. So this will be one great way that we can feature your guys' work in our very own film festival. So
I love that. That's so awesome.
Would be a great submission for that. So keep your eye out for that.
We will.
So, yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else that you guys want to share with our viewers before we let you go? All of the links to Permafrost, by the way, will be in our show notes and our description here on YouTube. So we'll have that included for everyone.
Very cool. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm ready for COVID to be over and start working again. That's about all I'm feeling right now. Just everyone, please try to maintain your sanity, and we'll make some awesome movies next year.
Yes. Yes. Let's all get safe so we can get back to work, right? There have been some positive announcements on the forefront, I think, that have come out this week as far as film picking back up in New Mexico, starting to reopen some ways to get back into production. And of course, it's our mission at Women in Film to keep people as informed as possible on safe production techniques and things like that if you do want to get started. But we're very excited to see you guys get back at it because you're putting together some fantastic material. So thank you so much for spending some time with me on the Storyteller series today. I really enjoyed talking to you. And thank you to
We had an awesome time. This was so fun.
You.
Good to
Great.
see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like finally we're having some human contact with each other. Thank you to all of our viewers today for checking out this episode of Storytellers. Remember to subscribe here on our YouTube channel to get notifications of future episodes. If you hit that little bell, it'll make sure to send a nice little notification alert to you so you can watch right away. And of course, remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, your favorite social media pages where we'll always be updating all the latest and greatest from members like Aeryn and Gentry and their wonderful projects.